In relation to question 51 in my own name, I seek the permission of the House to ask Deputy O'Rourke to take the chair for a few minutes. Is that in order? Thank you, Chair.
Now, Deputy, I'm sure you'll comply with the timing.
I certainly will. I will. You'll be surprised. I hope you give me credit at the end.
Hope I've something to
Just to ask the Minister for Health if a full review will be undertaken of the services provided for children with Down syndrome in County Roscommon in order to determine the number of therapists required to provide a service fit for purpose in relation to the improvement of fine motor skills, gross motor skills and speech therapy, if the recommendation of such review will be implemented with immediate effect, and if you will make a statement to the House on the matter.
Minister.
Just thank Deputy Eugene Murphy for raising this very important issue, and also for the welcome they gave me last week in Craigs. I visited a school down there, Gerard Dowd School, met all the neighbours and parents and families, and they have a lovely service, brilliant community and a very inclusive school. We have children there with special needs, so I want to thank Deputy Eugene Murphy for the warm welcome there, and also for his particular interest in all children with disabilities. Can I say that in Ireland, and in our policy view, disability service provision promotes a non-condition specific approach with services based on need rather than diagnosis. In Roscommon, multidisciplinary services for children with Down syndrome are provided by the Roscommon Early Intervention Services for children 0 to 6 and the School Age Disability Team for children aged 6 to 18 years. Multidisciplinary services, including occupational therapy, physiotherapy and speech and language therapy, continue to be provided to all children with disabilities, regardless of the condition, based on the specific needs. The requirement for additional resources to provide appropriate and timely services for children and young people with complex needs has been identified by the HSE, and formal approval to proceed with the recruitment of 100 new therapy posts was issued last month. All community health care organisations are now in the process of recruiting these posts. CHO2, which includes Roscommon, have been allocated 3.5 whole-time equivalent posts. Nationally, including Roscommon, multidisciplinary services for children with Down syndrome are provided through the disability services. That is, early intervention services from children aged 0 to 6. Years, and the School Age Disability Team from children 6 to 18 years. The multidisciplinary services, including occupational therapy, physiotherapy and speech and language therapy. A review of services to children with Down syndrome has not been undertaken, as a current policy is to assess and provide services to children based on need.
Thank you,
a review based on diagnosis would not be appropriate. So the issue is we need to see what the needs are and then put in the teams. Thank you.
Deputy Murphy.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach. And just to say that, I welcome the fact that there is some good news in the end, or in part of that statement from the Minister, and I do acknowledge that you take a very personal interest in this situation yourself, and I want to be fair about that. And I know that we've had a number of meetings about such issues, and we'll have more. The difficulty I have with the parents of Down syndrome children in my own county, and I can say the same for the part of the Galway constituency they represent, is that they're having a lot of difficulty accessing occupational therapists, speech therapists, physiotherapists. And many parents are actually finding that they have to finance this themselves. And it is causing a lot of financial distress for them. And, I think it's an area, Minister, that we do have to look at in general because, of course, as you're well aware of the July provision situation and what happened in the courts not too long ago, I'm sure you'd agree that the goalposts have changed now and that we're going to have to take an overall look at this situation. So I welcome the fact that we have some good news here, but we have a long way to go.
Thank you, Deputy Minister.
Absolutely. Accept the sincerity of Deputy Eugene Murphy's points in relation to the whole therapy services, and that is why in last year's estimates Minister Simon Harris and myself looked for the new therapy post. That is a start. I accept that. We have to move on that, and I welcome the fact that the Roscommon area will get 3.5. But can I say as well as this, it's very important to realise that there are 56 children's disability network teams have already been established, with the further 82 children's disability network teams to be reconfigured from the existing services. And it's important as well that we note that all HSE areas are planning reconfiguration continue to have significant early intervention and school age services in place, provided either directly by the HSE or by the voluntary service providers, which are funded by the services, such as Rehab Care, Enable Ireland Care, Marissa Foundation, St John of God Services, Brothers of Charity Services, St Michael's House, Cope Foundation, CRC and the Daughters of Charity Services. So we are funding those services as well, those early intervention services as well.
Thank you, Minister.
And finally, can I just make one final point? A key enabler to the establishment of the Children's Disability Network is the recruitment of the Children's Disability Network managers. And there are some HR issues going on there at the moment, and hopefully they will be resolved very soon.
Thank you.
Done by the HSE staff in this area, but they will tell you themselves that because they have so many children to treat and that they're so understaffed, that really that the visits are infrequent, and really they look at a sort of piecemeal type therapy for them, so they're not happy. And just to let you know, in relation to the type of figures we're dealing with in the county, the number of people waiting to access occupational therapy, and this comes from a direct PQ I put down very, very recently, adult services in County Roscommon is 196. The number on waiting list for priority 1, 2 and 3 cases are priority 1, 20, priority 2, 176, and they don't have priority 3. The number of children waiting to access occupational therapy in County Roscommon at the moment is 226. The waiting periods are from 12 weeks minimum to 36 months. 36 months is 3 years. Now, it is a shameful situation, and it's something we all have to rectify. And I'm sure you acknowledge that. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Murphy.
Acknowledge that, and can I say that efforts are being made to resolve that particular issue as well in relation to those lists. And can I say that the network teams are being put in place as well, and that's another issue that's slowing down the process. But of course we have to ensure that every child gets one of those therapy, whether it's speech and language or occupational therapy, of course, and that is the solution. But at the same time, those kind of figures that you mentioned there, they are figures that we can fix as well with some of the constructive solutions that are coming forward over the next few months. I'd be optimistic that we'll have major progress made by August, but we will continue to drive that, and we need to look at that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy